and welcome back to GavGoesIn. So, obviously, news today, guys, that Juventus have made Francisco Conceicao obviously their preferred choice. And to be honest with you, it's to be expected. Conceicao for me is a very good player, and the fact that it looks like that Juventus want to go with it inverted. And as I said before, I did say that. I did say when Sancho was linked to Juventus, it was going to be interesting to see where Sancho would actually play, because you think they've got Kenan Yildiz, obviously, who's arguably one of their best players on the left-hand side. And then, obviously, you got Conceicao on the right, obviously on loan from Porto. And then, obviously, you've got the likes of Sancho that were rumoured to be coming in. We're thinking, obviously, where is Sancho going to play? So big up to Sham. Yeah, big up, bro. Big up for coming on. So as I said, yeah, it would have been interesting to see where Sancho was going to play. So as what's reported right now, it's looking like they're prioritising Francisco Conceicao, which I believe if that does happen, I can see the links to Sancho dying out, really. So this is why I'm saying, could Sancho actually end up staying at Man United? For me, as you guys already know, big up to Reluctant Gamer as well. As you guys already know, I'm a massive fan of Jadon Sancho still. I know there's a lot of people that, have their preference. There's a lot of people that think that Sancho does need to move on. And as we know, his wage is a factor in it. But what I would say is, and I keep saying it, a player of that quality, for me, shouldn't be just eradicated from the team. I think if United can kind of find a compromise in terms of, because it's going to be unlikely that Sancho is going to reduce his wage, But I think if you can get rid of the likes of Garnacho, Rashford, if Anthony does move on, I think Malacia, I wouldn't include Malacia in the Garnacho, Sancho, Rashford, and Anthony for different reasons. Obviously, as we know, Anthony and Rashford are on the high wage. Anthony being on 200 and Rashford being on north of 300. Garnacho's 100% profit. And obviously, we got Sancho's wage as well. So I think if there was to be one player to keep out of those four players, for me, it'd have to be Sancho for me. And I think, as I said, if Ineos was to say, look, we're going to keep at least one of those players, then I don't see no reason why it can't be Sancho. And I think Sancho has the capabilities of helping this team, especially in this system as well. And, as Sham has said, I know that you more than anyone wants Sancho to stay. But, bro, listen, I want Sancho to stay purely because of the quality that I know that he's got. And I think Man United, I think if we're putting the wages to one side, and again, if he actually wants to stay, and the fact that the club, obviously, in terms of the fans, obviously might want to push him out, I think in terms of, if we put all those things to the side and we look at Jadon Sancho, the player, I think there's definitely a player there that is useful and definitely can help the team. And as I said, I do believe Sancho, if he is reintegrated back into this team, Sancho's still one of Man United's best players, ability-wise. He is. I just think that he just needs to be given the platform to kind of reach the heights that many thought. And as I said, could he be the one out of those, I say 5 players, I'm not going to include Malacia, as I said, but those 4, Garnacho, Rashford, and Anthony, could he be the one to obviously survive under Ineos in that sense? So I think the fact that Juventus are prioritising Conceicao, I think the interest in Sancho probably dies now. And again, it's going to be a case of where does he go? And I think, just bring him back to United. I think United's window at the moment has been quiet, but I think reintegrating a Sancho, you've got another player there that you didn't have last season, along with Cunha, and why not have him and Cunha battle it out for that left 10 in this system? And again, I'm looking beyond this system because, as I keep mentioning, I don't believe Ruben Amorim is gonna be there for the full season. So I'm looking beyond, you know, the I'm looking beyond Amorim because I do believe if, you know, a different manager comes in, they are gonna revert back to the four at the back. So that's what I think. But yeah, Gamer says Sancho is a good addition. He is, and he'll be a very good addition for many teams in this league. You know, I think as I've mentioned before, I think a lot of fans seem to try to picture Sancho, you know, as they. I think they try to compare him to something that he's not. You know, I look at a lot of the wide players, especially in the Premier League, and there isn't a profile there that is very similar to Sancho. You know, Sancho's not a player that wants to, as I said before, take on his man at every opportunity. You know, he's someone that wants to link the play. You know, he's someone that wants to link with the front man and create first and foremost. And as I was saying the other day, you know, you get different types of wide players. You get number 10s that play out from wide. You get pure wingers, or you get wide forwards like a Mo Salah that are tasked with getting goals. So just looking at Sancho on that basis, you know, Sancho's someone that is a number 10 playing from out wide, which, you know, isn't no secret as to why he plays the way he does, you know. And again, I think if we're putting the wages to the side, you know, I'll be very surprised to see if people don't actually rate Sancho the player, you know. And as Gamer said, Eddie Howe is a manager that could well coach Sancho. He needs the right coaching. And Gamer, you know what? I agree with that because as I said, man, Eddie Howe, as we know, is a very good man manager, you know, and Sancho in that Newcastle team, you know, where he'll be tasked with being, you know, one of the chief creators. You know, that is probably that is what Sancho needs, you know. And as I said, man, I'm a massive fan of him, regardless of what many say. Shama said, I can see Sancho at Arsenal or Newcastle. I can't see him at Arsenal. Definitely not at Arsenal because, as we know, with Arsenal, you know, they've got a wage bill there, which is difficult to kind of get other players in that are going to come there on lower than what the players they've got already. So if you look at Martinelli, as we mentioned, I think it was yesterday, Martinelli's on 180, you know, and again, them getting in a left winger is going to be difficult because what player is going to come in being on less than Martinelli realistically? So I can't see that, you know. But Newcastle for me, definitely. I think if Newcastle are looking for a number 10 stroke wide player, you know, you've got the likes of Sancho, you've got the likes of Grealish, two players who are pure creators, you know. And again, I'll be very surprised if Newcastle don't at least go in for either of those players for me, you know. Jerry Scahill has said Sancho has had his chance to go to Chelsea and got greedy with wages, done okay for them, and would have had Champions League football. And big up Jerry for coming on and obviously putting your comment through. So when you're saying Sancho's greedy with his wages, I'm not sure where you're getting that from. He ain't greedy with his wages because put yourself in Sancho's position. You know, you've been given a contract by the club. You've been more or less screwed over by the club, Manchester United. And as I said, like, why should Sancho take a wage cut? Why should he really? You know, if you was at a job, you know, and your company gave you a massive wage hike, and all of a sudden things didn't work out, and they're asking you to take a wage cut, are you actually going to go and do that? You're not, are you? So Sancho's not greedy, you know. And again, Maresca, as we already know with his wide players, Maresca likes direct wide players, which is why he plays the likes of Neto, Madueke. You know, they're two players that are very direct. And Sancho is good enough to be at Chelsea, but under this manager, he's looking for a different profile in those wide areas. So again, Sancho didn't have his chance at Chelsea, really. He didn't have his chance at Man United. And he's not greedy of his wages. At the end of the day, he's well within his rights to say that he wants his money. Because, again, if you're in his shoes, I can tell you now you won't take a wage cut. Because it's easy saying that when you're on the other end, you know, and you're looking at it from a fan point of view. But if you look at it from a player's point of view, why should he really take the wage cut? The club are the one that gave him that wage. Whether that's wrong or right, the club decided to do that, And as I said, they couldn't come to a compromise on the contract with Sancho and Chelsea. And from what I heard, what they were offering, again, you're not really gonna take that low of a cut. I believe if Chelsea would have said, look, 200 grand a week, I think Sancho would have probably taken that. But from what I'm hearing, it wasn't that. So, yeah. Gamer says he won't end up at Newcastle though. Oh, sorry. Sham says he won't end up at Newcastle though because it would break their wage structure. Yeah, possibly. I mean, it depends what. If Isak does stay, I think if Isak stays, Isak is gonna break their wage structure. So again, it could be a game changer because as I said before, with Isak, if Isak does sign a new contract at Newcastle, he's gonna be north of 250k in my opinion. So he's gonna break their wage structure. So them going for a Sancho, again, it could be a good bit of business, man. Who knows? But as I said, man, yeah, you could be right with that one. He could break the wage structure. But I think if Newcastle want to go to that next level anyway, that wage structure sooner or later is going to be broken. So I know they've just signed Anthony Elanga. And again, I'm still in disbelief, really, that they've spent 55 mil on Anthony Elanga. Because let's be honest with you, man, that money for me could have gone on other players. It could have gone on Kudus, unless Kudus has told Newcastle that he doesn't want to go there. 55 mil could have gone on Kudus. And again, I can see why they've gone for Elanga, but Kudus was there, who else? Johan Bakayoko, someone else that, they've been linked with previously, left-footed as well, plays on that right-hand side. I think Nottingham Forest are linked to him now, as well as a few other clubs. So I'm surprised they've parted with that amount of money for Elanga, but I think the reports are saying that Eddie Howe, has been chasing Elanga for a while, which again, I'm quite surprised. But yeah, again, man, we have to just wait and see what happens there. But yeah, I agree. He could break their wage structure, but if Isak does stay, he will break their wage structure. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Sham says that Havertz is on 270. I think Sham I think Havertz might actually be on 280. I think he might actually be on 280. But as I said, man, I think Arsenal have their own problems because, in my opinion, Arsenal are going to have a problem moving out some of their high earners, the likes of Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz, And as I said to you yesterday, if Gyökeres does come in, Arteta's got a massive problem in what he's going to do with Havertz because you can't have someone that's, your highest paid player on the bench, really. Something's got to give. And the two positions that he plays, you've got the captain in Odegaard, and then you've got, and again, Odegaard's, I think, on just under 200 grand a week as well. And then you've got Gyökeres, the new signing. So what he's going to do with Havertz, because I hope for his sake, he don't think Havertz can be playing centre mid because that ain't going to happen, So yeah, as I said, man, it's going to be something for him to figure out. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Gamer says, I would like Sancho more than Grealish personally, just because Grealish likes to drink. Yeah, I hear that. To be fair, man, I think Newcastle will do well with either player. And I think just the way that Eddie Howe manages, I think Eddie Howe would be a manager that would get the best out of both of them. And I look at Newcastle as well, and they're missing a proper creator in their team. Because if you look at their midfield is a solid midfield, which has a bit of everything in terms of tenacity, bit of dribbling, passing. They have that in their midfield. But they haven't got someone that can get in between the lines as a pure number 10. You know, I know Joe Willock because obviously he's a squad player and, you know, he's more attacking than the other three, along with Joe Linton. But I think in terms of being a pure creator, they haven't really got that. And I think if you're looking at the likes of Sancho and Grealish to kind of have a free role if they're at home playing against the lesser teams, you know, that could be a way forward for me, man. Definitely for them. Guys, listen, if you're liking the stream, make sure you smash that like button. You know, just one press of the button. Obviously, by you smashing that like button, helps the channel to grow and reach a newer audience. And again, if it's your first time in there, make sure you subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn. Sham says, I doubt Newcastle will give Isak 250. Their captain is paid 160. And again, Sham, I think we mentioned this before. What you have to be aware of is that although Bruno Guimaraes is on 160, if they're going to keep Isak, they're going to have to pay about 250. Because what's Isak on now? Gamer, if you know, what's Isak roughly on now? I'm not sure if we covered this before, but as I said, if Isak does stay at Newcastle, don't be surprised if he's going to be north of 200 grand. He'll definitely be on more money than Guimaraes. I can bet you on that one because you don't. I think we mentioned this before, but you don't just give him a 40 grand pay rise because why would he sign that when he knows he's wanted by a lot of clubs and he's one of the best strikers in Europe right now. So again, if you're saying he won't get paid more than 160 than Bruno Guimaraes, I can promise you this now, he will do. If it's not 250, it's going to be somewhere near that, 230, 240. But I reckon 250, him and his agent, that's what the starting bid's going to be for me, for his wages. And again, if Newcastle don't give him that and Newcastle have the money, then he can go and get that elsewhere easily. So I believe he will get that. Big up to Hammers Football TV. Yeah, big up for coming back on, man. Big up yourself. And again, make sure you subscribe and make sure you smash that like button as well. And guys, give me your questions. Give me your questions. So Cristiano Ronaldo 7 says Turkey is the strong. Okay. I'm not sure what to say with that one, but big up. Gamer says, I think Hal picked Elanga because he's meant to be like best friends with Isak. Well, if he's picked Isak because of that, then that's poor. Let's be honest. You don't pick a player because he's best friends with someone. Like this is high level football. You know, this ain't kindergarten. This is high level football. So if he has chosen Elanga because of his friendship with Isak, then for me that's poor. That's poor because there's other players out there. And again, I'm not saying that Elanga won't be a success at their team because I think Elanga, in terms of how Newcastle play, I think he'll do well there. But I think if Newcastle were trying to make everyone sit up and take notice, the likes of a Kudus, you know, a likes of a Grealish, a Sancho, you know, players like that, you know, a Morgan Rogers, if anything, players like that, you know, that are on the up, you know, or have that real quality, for me, they would have been a better bet. But I do think Elanga will do well with the way that Newcastle plays. So, yeah, I think it'll be a decent signing, personally, you know. But 55 mil, that is a lot, personally, you know. Jerry says Isak's on 120 a week until 2028. I'm sure there's bonuses on top of that too. Yeah, big up, Jerry. As I said, if he's on 120 and he stays at Newcastle, for sure he's gonna ask for a new contract. So and I can tell you this now, he's definitely gonna get 100 grand pay rise. What I'm 100% certain of that, you know. So yeah, if he's on 120, expect him to be 220, 240 easily for me, you know. So Gamer reckons he thinks Newcastle going to give Isak 220. Yeah, listen, he'll definitely be north of 200. Yeah, definitely. He'll be north of 200. So just going through some of the messages. So Gamer says Bruno got a new tattoo, Carabao Cup on his leg. Bloody hell. I expected more of Bruno Guimaraes, you know. I thought he had more about him than that. Carabao Cup is not really something to be celebrating. I know for Newcastle fans, you know, it was a long time coming, but I would expected a bit better than that from Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, big up Diego Jota, man. RIP, 100%, 100%. Yeah, DXR. Listen, bro. I sentiment that, man, because this transfer window every year is the same old shit. So yeah, as I said, man, I do agree to that, man. This transfer window is the same old stuff, man. And as I said, I'm desensitized really with Man United because until Man United do what's required, then as I said, man, it's one of them things where we just have to remain patient to see what happens, you know. Guys, come on, only 3 likes on the channel. If you're watching the stream, smash that like button, you know, show the channel some support. And again, if you're new in there, make sure you subscribe. So Cristiano Ronaldo says Ronaldo's first hat-trick is against Newcastle. Was it? I'm not even too sure of that. I'm not even too sure. Did he? DXR says, sorry, Gamer says tomorrow's game between Real Madrid and PSG. Yeah, listen. What time is that game actually? Is that an evening game or is that one of them mad ones in the morning? Because I'm hoping it's a 8 o'clock kickoff because I want to get back and watch that. So, and as I said, PSG for me are the favourites to win the whole thing anyway. You know, but you can never count out Real Madrid, I suppose, man, because they have a habit of just turning up in games like this. So, so big up to Irfan Kedali says, slow FC, Man United, Glazer out, Qatar in. Yeah, listen, this whole Qatar talk, man, there's no point of that now. The chance was there, and the Glazers were never going to sell. So I'm not even going to entertain that, man. But as I said, all we can deal with what's going on now. Ineos are in place. Glazers aren't going anywhere. So all we can do is just deal with what's happening. And as I said, I think, yeah, it's been a frustrating transfer window. But as long as the window's still open, you know, you never know. United could just do something mad and just sign 2 or 3 players within the next couple of days. So, I mean, it's unlikely, but we have to hold hope, man. That's what I will say. Cristiano Ronaldo 7 says Ronaldo or Messi. Messi, every day of the week. So Gamer says, Gav, you should be getting much more likes. Your dedication to the channel is awesome. Yeah, big up, Gamer, man. As I said, yeah, guys, I'm here every day, man. It's free content. So if you are enjoying the content, as I said, make sure you check out my other content as well. And yeah, check out through the playlist as well. I've got some good playlists on there of different content. So check that out. And as I said, man, subscribe and smash that like button as well. Big up to Luis Gustavo from Brazil. All right, Luis Gustavo used to be a good player, man. If anyone knows Luis Gustavo, former Wolfsburg and Bayern Munich player, left-footed central midfielder. Very good player, man. Got the real one in the house as well. But big up. Bro, stop. Cristiano Ronaldo 7, stop spamming the chat with the same thing, man. I've already answered your question. It's Messi. Like, I know you love Ronaldo, but Messi's better than him, unfortunately for you, man. Yeah, listen, Musiala, man, looking like he's out for, I believe, 5 months. And I spoke about this yesterday with Jonas. And it's ironic, man, that it was Musiala that got injured because, you know, when there was links with Florian Wirtz and Bayern Munich, you know, I did say I don't see, like, I wouldn't want Wirtz to go there because, you know, you've got Musiala's there already. And it's one of them things where, you know, someone's going to have to miss out in a sense because not both players can be the shining light of the team in a sense, you know. And to think now that Musiala's out injured and Wirtz is out at Liverpool, and the funny thing is, what do Bayern Munich do now to replace him? Because I think Bayern Munich desperately now need to go and get a player that can play as a 10 and play on the left. And I think Eze is perfect for them. Someone that's a natural number 10, but can play from the left as well. In terms of what Musiala offers, I think Eze's perfect. You know, and I look around at world football. Again, Rodrigo is another one, but he'll cost a lot more money. So whether Bayern are looking for that sort of player, which I'll be surprised if they're not, depends what what is in their mind really. So, but yeah, man, the Musiala injury is mad. It is mad, and again, man, when you got players like that and they're getting innocuous injuries like this, man, it's depressing really, because again, you want to see the best players play, but you know it's looking like he's going to be out for 5 months. You know, I think it was a knee. Was it a knee injury was it a knee or ankle injury? From what I think it might be it might be an ankle injury actually. So yeah, I think the reports are saying that he's out for 5 months, which is obviously devastating for him, but more so for Bayern Munich as well, because they're losing a key player in a season where, you know, they'll be hoping to go further in the Champions League. So DXR says, bruv, that Donnarumma did that shit on purpose. Nah, that's harsh, DXR, man. I don't think Donnarumma done that on purpose. You know, I think Donnarumma was coming out, you know, and obviously because of the speed he was coming out, there's not much he could do. And then obviously clattered with Musiala. I mean, the only one that's going to know if he done it on purpose is Donnarumma himself. But I don't think Donnarumma done that on purpose. I mean, what's he got against Musiala for him to be doing that on purpose? So yeah, I mean that's pretty harsh to say that, man. I don't believe he did that on purpose. So Gamer says, I'm loving the content, bro. You're my favorite YouTuber with the Newcastle United channels. Yeah, big up, man. Appreciate that, Gamer. As I say, you people turn up here every day, you know, so you guys are keeping the channel going as well, man. So big up yourselves. But yeah, 100%, man. Big up DXR as well, man. Big up. So yeah, listen, man. Listen, you guys turn up every time, man. So it's much appreciated. Yeah, much appreciated. So DXR says, move Elise central and get Rodrigo right wing. You know what, DXR, bro? You had me until you said Rodrigo right wing. And I tell you why, yeah? So Elise is naturally a central player anyway. You know, Elise actually plays as a 10. But obviously, you know, plays more from the right now. And with Rodrigo, I think people are so fixated that Rodrigo's a right winger. Guys, Rodrigo is actually a left winger. He's only playing on the right because of Vinicius Jr. Actually has because Vinicius Jr. has got the bigger profile, this is why Rodrigo plays from the right. But Rodrigo actually plays from the left, which is why when Rodrigo leaves, if he does leave Real Madrid, any club he goes to, he's going to be a left winger because that's where he actually plays. You know, I think a lot of people don't actually realise that he plays on the left wing because obviously Real Madrid are playing him there, but he's playing that position. So imagine how good he'll be on that left wing. You know, something to think about. So a gamer says, bro, I would love Eze. I'd offer 250 to see Eze. If Newcastle had Eze, we would overtake Arsenal by a mile. Bro, listen, I think the thing with Eze is that because Anthony Gordon's there, obviously you've got Harvey Barnes as well, that both players play on the left-hand side. I think necessity for them to buy an Eze isn't really there. But personally, and again, yeah, you've got Newcastle spending 55 mil on Elanga. And again, Elanga's got serious pace, which is why I think Eddie Howe's gone for him. But why don't Newcastle offer that amount, even a bit more, to go and get Eze? Because Eze is a better footballer than Elanga. I know Elanga has that serious pace, but I think that would show an intent of of what Newcastle are actually on. Um, so yeah, as I said, man. And again, Eze wouldn't want to, Eze wouldn't get 250 at Newcastle. He wouldn't. I think if Eze was to come to Newcastle, he'll be on about 150, 160, about that kind of range. He wouldn't come there on 250. No way. The reason that I'm saying Isak will be on 250 is because Isak is already on 120, and it's because he's regarded as one of the best strikers in Europe, and you've got the likes of Newcastle and other clubs abroad that will take him. So he's kind of pull is a lot more different than what Eze's is. Eze's coming from Palace, and we know Eze has the potential or has the pedigree to play for a team that are challenging for Champions League places. But he won't come in there on 250. He'll come in there on like a 150, 160 if he was to go there, 100%. So Gamer says, Gav, how many players you think Newcastle going to get? We got Elanga and we're trying to get Trafford. That's 2. Need 4 minimum to finish top 5 next season. Yeah, bro, I think we've said this. I think I've probably mentioned this before. So you've got Elanga. You're going to get Trafford. I do believe you get Trafford as well. You know what? What I would say, I think the fact that they've signed Elanga, I don't think you go for another winger now. I don't think that happens. I think Elanga is the winger option because Elanga can play both sides. And obviously Gordon and Barnes can play there as well, both sides. But I think Elanga is the winger option. So I think once Elanga's in now, you're going to focus more on striker because Callum Wilson's gone. So you're going to try and get a striker. I believe the striker that Newcastle get in will be someone that can play as a 10 as well, which is why they wanted João Pedro. So if I'm looking around Europe for that type of player, or if we look in the Premier League now, who's a player that can play as a 10 and play as a striker? I think João Pedro was the perfect one, but obviously he's at Chelsea. I mean, Joshua Xerxes is perfect, but Xerxes, obviously Newcastle. I don't think Newcastle will go for Xerxes, and again, Man United won't sell him anyway. But Xerxes is perfect. So I look at likes of João Pedro, who's gone, Xerxes, who won't be bought. But I think Newcastle need that type of player, someone that can play as a 10 and a striker. A centre-back, definitely a right-sided centre-back. So I'm saying if you've got 2 already, I can see Newcastle making... So if you've got Elanga and let's say Trafford, because I think Trafford will go, I'd say Newcastle get another... Yeah, I'm going to say another 2 signings. I think 4 signings, which would be a centre-back and another striker, or a 10 come striker, I believe, you know. But I think Elanga's is the wide option. So, yeah, listen, DXR, bro. You ain't the only one. A lot of people think that Rodrigo's a right winger, but he's actually a left winger, you know. And as I said, any club he moves to, he's going to be playing left wing, you know. And guys, you've heard it here first. I keep saying this. If Rodrigo indicates that he wants to move on, for me, the 3 clubs in question are Chelsea, Man City, and Bayern Munich. I think they'll be the 3 clubs, the likely clubs to get him, you know. I don't know if Liverpool... I mean, I think the only way Liverpool get Rodrigo or be in the hat for Rodrigo is if Diaz goes, you know. But they've already come and said that Diaz isn't for sale. So yeah, I think Liverpool out of the other 3 clubs, I think they're behind those. But if Diaz does go, then I think that opens it up for Liverpool if Rodrigo indicates that he wants to go. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Big up for coming on. So Gamer says, I think Manchester should get Eze. But yeah, as I've said, Eze was my top target before Cunha. But again, it's looking like that's not going to happen. So again, with Man United, I'm just not too sure what's going on with this club. You know, I think it's hard to predict. You know, obviously at the moment, Mbuemo. I mean, I'm hearing that United were offered the likes of Jamie Vardy, Calvert-Lewin, And I think there was someone else. Yeah, the whole thing's laughable. But as I said, all you can do really is just remain optimistic that Ineos will get some moves over the line. You know, this Brian Mbeumo deal, you know, as I said, man, I'm not even that excited about it no more because I do expect United to get that over the line, but it's boring now. So big up to Daniela as well. Guys, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you smash the like button if you haven't done so already. So Gamer says maybe we might go abroad for a number 10. Yeah, Gamer, if you think that, bro, give me some names because it's not easy, man. Give me some names who you think are realistic that Newcastle can get as a number 10 come striker. Because again, this is what I'm trying to say to you. I think Premier League proven might be where Eddie Howe might want to go. But if I'm looking, you know, in other leagues, there ain't really too many players that are actually attainable. DXR says Bayern should go for Saka. I'm glad you put the laughing face at the end. Again, Saka's not better than Elise, so there's no point of that. Saka's not better than Elise, and obviously they need someone on the other side. So yeah, and the funny thing as well is that there's quite a few teams that actually need left wingers. You look at Bayern Munich, you look at Barcelona, Chelsea still need a left winger for me. Yeah, there's quite a few teams that actually need a left winger. So whoever's going to be, I'm not too sure. Yeah, Gamer, I heard that actually. They're after Giorgio Scalvini. Yeah, Scalvini, to be fair, is a decent defender, and I think he picked up a serious injury. Obviously, he's still at Atalanta, but he picked up a serious injury before, I believe it was the Euros. I think it might have been. But yeah, Newcastle are in for him, you know. And again, he'd be a very good signing. Someone that I think Fabian Schär will still be first choice, but Scalvini would be looked at as someone that can eventually replace him. Yeah, and again, Scalvini is highly rated. Obviously, Italian international as well. So yeah, Scalvini is a decent player. How much he's going to cost, though, I think might be the problem. So I think Atalanta would probably want about 50 mil for him. So whether Newcastle want to part ways with that, and if they're going to invest in other areas of the pitch, who knows? So Sham's saying, I read it on Sky Sports that reports in Spain are saying Rodrigo can go for 69 million. That's a complete lie, Sham. Sham, listen, if Rodrigo was to go for, if Rodrigo is reported to go for 69 million, then Man City would have already made the bid. Other clubs would have already made the bid. 80 million euros for Rodrigo is an absolute steal. I mean, I can't see that personally, you know. And again, if that was Real Madrid, there's no way Real Madrid are letting him go for that cheap, you know, in my opinion. If he comes out and hands in a transfer request, which is unlikely from Spanish teams anyway, but he tells the board he wants to go, I still don't believe it's as low as that, because 69 million for a player that is only, I believe, what, 23, 24, is regarded as one of the best players in the world in his position. 69 million is an absolute steal. So, you know, and if that's the case, Bayern Munich, Man City, Chelsea, even yourselves, Liverpool, PSG, they would all make a bid. They'll all be in for him. So if that's the case, I'll be disgusted, man, because obviously I'd love him at Man United, which ain't gonna happen. But yeah, I'll be devastated, man, if that's the case, to get a player of that quality for that low. But who knows, man? Yeah, who knows? Gamer says Botman is injury prone. Yeah, but I think with Botman, I think Dan Burns made himself, you know, a reliable backup or even starter. So I think I don't think Eddie Howe goes into the to the market for a left-sided centre back. You know, I mean, they were linked to Yoro Hato, but and again, I'll be the thing is with Yoro Hato, I think because Hato can play centre back and left back, he'll be a very good addition to that Newcastle team because, again, you look at Dan Burn with the experience and obviously someone that's local as well, but if you look into the future and if Botman is injury prone, bringing in a Euro Hatter would be good business. But I think they're more looking for a right-sided centre-back before a left-side centre-back because of the fact that Dan Burn can fill in both positions, Gamer says Scalvini and Tonali might be a good combo. Well, yeah, 2 Italian internationals. So yeah, but yeah, if they get Scalvini, that'd be a good signing for the future, definitely. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So big up to Footy's Life. Big up for coming on. Says, how much will Kudus cost for Tottenham? So if we're going by what everyone's going for at the moment, I mean, you'd say 60 million, and I think West Ham will be well within their rights to ask for 60 million, having seen the likes of João Pedro, Cunha, and what's reported with Mbeumo going for similar. Because Kudus, to me, is as good as those players, even though last season wasn't a season that he expected. But I think 60 million will be the price that West Ham will be looking for. On the other hand, though, I think if West Ham are going to sell him to a London rival, they might want to hike the price up a bit more. But Newcastle, for me, if Newcastle just said, like, we want Kudus, that money they spent on Elanga could have gone on Kudus. And I believe he'll be at Newcastle. But the problem is, there's reports that he's given his word to Tottenham, or he wants to join Tottenham. But unless there's bids coming in, it's kind of hard to believe what is out there, But as I said, man, I think I think 60 million is the price for me. So Sham says, I see him going for 100 million minimum. I'm just letting you know what I've read. Don't shoot the messenger. So 100 million euros is about what? I think about 90 mil, 89 mil or something like that. So yeah, I mean, that's more realistic. That's more realistic. I mean, if he was to go for 69 million, which again I'm not even going to entertain, that would be unbelievable personally, But yeah, I think 100 mil for a player at Real Madrid is more realistic, But at the moment, he's not for sale until Xabi Alonso comes out or whoever comes out and says that, he said he wants to leave. Gamer says, I don't see Rodrigo going Premier League, but see what happens. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends really. I think in terms of if he wants the money, then the Premier League is where the money's at, because Man City, Chelsea. I think if Rodrigo was to go to Man City, you're looking at him being on about 250 minimum. Chelsea would have to give him something. Well, if Rodrigo was to go Chelsea would have to make him their highest paid player. Liverpool would have to make him among their highest paid players. I mean, I think Salah's on about 400 grand from what I heard. And I think Van Dijk might be on about 300. Wirtz is only on, I think Wirtz might be on 250. But I think if Rodrigo was to come to Liverpool, I think 250 is the minimum coming from Real Madrid, So Gamer says, my uncle picked up Isak, took him Land Rover garage. Isak's going to get a Land Rover? I'm surprised at that one, man. I thought Isak might have been thinking a bit more higher end than that. But yeah, listen, man. Yeah, big up Gamer, man. Did your uncle get his autograph? Kudus will be going for around 60. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, big up Sham. So Sham says, Gamer, tell your uncle to drop him off to Anfield next time. Yeah, listen. Yeah, that's a good one. Listen, tell him to drop him off to Anfield and see if he can try and get Darwin Núñez in exchange, man. Get him out of there. Yeah, listen, I agree. Newcastle are mad not getting Kudus, but I believe that's their business done in terms of wide players. You know, I'll be very surprised if they go and get another wide player, and not go and get, because I think the reports now are saying because Callum Wilson's gone, they're looking for another striker. So yeah. So 40's Live says, what next for Chester United? Oh, for Manchester United. Bro, you tell me, man. As I said, man, I just want this season to start and just see what the hell's gonna go on, man. Because this transfer window's boring me now. It's just United just take so long on deals, you know, and again, they take the joy out of a player signing. Because this Mbuemo deal should have been done time ago. You know, all they needed to do was just offer 60 mil and stop trying to lowball Brentford. The fact that it's drawn out this long, you know, is boring. So yeah, I just want this season to start now and just see what's going to go on, because this manager, as I keep saying, he has 5 games for me. You know, I don't care who comes in, I don't care who goes out. When that season starts, we're gonna see what his coaching is gonna do. And the thing is, I don't want to hear no one tell me he hasn't got his own players, or you know, they feel sorry for Amorim. No, you're a coach. Coach some of these players to see them get better. Because I'm not a massive fan of a lot of these players, but yeah, last season was unacceptable, and the manager has no excuses, regardless if he gets players in or not. You know, let's see these players at least be improved. That's all I can hope for, really. But he's got 5 games. Yeah, Gamer, I agree. Man City, for me, I can see him going there, because Man City, for me, have a glaring hole on that left hand side, because it's quite obvious. It's quite obvious. It's quite obvious that Grealish is going. You know, Jeremy Doku I don't rate, and Marmoush can play out there. But Marmoush, for me, obviously, you know, I personally think Marmoush is a better option as a striker for Man City than Haaland. And I know Haaland gets goals, but in terms of better football that Man City play, it's when Marmoush is in the team. But if they was to go and get a Rodrigo, I think you have to wrap up the league, in my opinion. Because I think at this moment in time, City are just slight favourites for me for the league in terms of the business that they've done. But if Liverpool go and get a striker, I think that might edge them, you know. But if City go and get Rodrigo, it's game over. I think the league City's to lose for me. Oh, he's got a G-Wagon. Okay. I'll take it back then. Yeah, he's got a G-Wagon. So Sham says Verts is actually on 180, but with bonuses, it goes up to around 230. Do you know what? I'm actually surprised there. But the thing is, that just shows you how good of a club, how good Liverpool are run. Because whenever a player gets bought for that amount and breaks the British transfer record, you would assume that they're going to be on the high-end money. To think that you're getting one of the best players in the world, you know, and one of Germany's crown jewels along with Jamal Musiala, to think that you're getting him on 180 a week with bonuses going up to 230, I can only applaud Liverpool for that, really. Because if he was coming to Man United, I think Verts would be on about 300 grand, probably even more. The fact that Liverpool have enticed him and got him on 180, and then it's going to rise to 230, is great business, you know, because, again, when you buy a player for that amount of money, you know, normally what comes with it is the higher wage. But the fact that he's on 180 is good business, really. So Chelsea playing in 40 minutes, but I don't think it's on Channel 5. Oh, yeah, they're playing Fluminense, aren't they? Semi-final. I expect Chelsea to win that, personally. So big up to Danny McAnuff, says, Man U need a big rebuild. I agree, Danny. I agree. But where I don't take it seriously with Man United is that Man United had a chance to get rid of Bruno Fernandes for 100 mil. And it wasn't just getting rid of Bruno Fernandes for 100 mil and bringing that money in. There was a big rebuild the club needs, and going away from Bruno Fernandes would have been a very good start, because the influence that this guy has on the pitch, you know, is a detriment to the team. You know, he's on every corner, every free kick, every penalty. He's the captain. He's ill-disciplined. He plays where he wants. It's all to the detriment of the team. So to think that United had an offer of 100 mil on the table from Saudi to a player that's going to turn 31 next season, and they turned it down, I don't have any sympathy with this club. So for me, this is why I'm saying to you, I don't give a damn what players come in now to help Amorim. Amorim has 5 games to basically stay in the job, because you had a chance to get rid of Bruno Fernandes, and again, if that happened, more players probably would have come in already. But the fact that you chose to keep Bruno Fernandes because, you know, you love him basically, I don't want to hear that he hasn't got his own players, because he had a chance to do something about that. Because you get rid of Bruno Fernandes and his wage, and for that money, who knows? Two actual central midfielders could have come in. You know, the Embuemo deal probably would have got over the line, and already the team looks better. But Amorim chose to keep Bruno. You know, he chose that. Now he's got to deal with it. So I don't really care at this moment in time who comes in. You know, obviously players do need to come in, but it's down to Amorim now. So Danny McIntosh says, nah, Liverpool all the way. Yeah, listen, I think at this moment in time for me, it's Man City, you know, but Liverpool are going to push them hard, definitely. I think those two are by far and away the top 2 at this moment in time, because I don't believe any other team has done anything close enough to get close to City and Liverpool. But if Rodrigo was to go Man City, that takes them ahead of Liverpool, definitely for me. Yeah, Thiago Silva's still playing, man. I think Thiago Silva's in his 40s now. What a player, man. One of the best defenders of all time. I'll go as far as saying Thiago Silva and Sergio Ramos, definitely 2 of the great centre backs of the modern era for me. Yeah, big up 40's live says Arsenal are turning into Britney Spears, like, oops, I bottled it again. Yeah, listen. Third row in the season? 4th row in the season for Arsenal? And the funny thing is, yeah, is that they might as well just sack Arteta now, because they're not winning no league. I can tell you that now, they're not winning no league or Champions League. Because when they play up against the teams when it matters, they're not doing anything. So what are we gonna do again? Just watch Arteta under another season? Yeah, it's laughable, man. It's laughable. Yeah, big up, Danny, man. Appreciate it, man. Big up. Big up yourself. So Danny says, just hope Thomas Frank hasn't ruined his managerial career. Such a top manager. Yeah, listen, I would have taken Thomas Frank at Man United. You know, I think Thomas Frank is underrated, you know. And I think in terms of this Tottenham team, you know, I think he's going to make them a bit more solid at the back, but make them a threat going forward. Don't get me wrong, they do need some additions. You know, obviously, if they get Kudus, to be fair, then, you know, he's going to try and use Kudus as his Brian Embuemo, you know. But again, they've got in a Japanese international, I think. You know, I think Mattis Tell's been made permanent as well. They're looking at Kudus. I think that's the only players that they've been linked to, really. You know, there was talk about Eze. And I tell you now, if Tottenham was to get Eze and Kudus, you know, you'd have to applaud Tottenham for that. And think that Tottenham are going to definitely cement themselves with those 2 signings for me as a top 10, top 8 team. You know, in comparison to where they finished last season. And again, Champions League football. So they've got that to give to incoming players as well. Yeah, 40 is life. I think we answered this already. I don't believe Donnarumma should have got a red. You know, I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was just unfortunate for me. So I think Man United are going to struggle with getting signings with the proper forces Amorim has done. Well, I mean, Cunha's there, you know, so that's a positive. The Embuemo one's taking long. But as I said, man, yeah. I'm not going to hold my breath, put it that way. I'm not gonna hold my breath. Um, so Arsenal fans are like iPhones, overhyped every year, cause way too much to maintain emotionally, and still can't hold a charge when it counts. Bro, I can't disagree with that. But if the things with Arsenal fans are deluded anyway. You know, a lot of them think that Arteta's like the Messiah. You know, and this is where they're going wrong. You know, I made a bet with someone saying that United would win a trophy before Arsenal. This was like about 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and I'm still waiting for my money. To be fair, but I confidently said that Man United will win a trophy before Arsenal, and they did. So Man United will start their rebuild next season now because Amorim will get sacked by November, and then the new manager will say it's not his team. We've heard this before. Again, I'm looking, Danny. Sham. Sorry, I'm looking at United, in terms of the signings now. I'm looking at club signings. So this is kind of a rebuild now, I would say. I'm just frustrated that there's not been a lot of outgoings at the moment, which is taking the piss really. But I'm looking at this as United's rebuild right now. You know, as I said, if Amorim doesn't, and I keep saying this, if Amorim doesn't get 2 to 3 wins in his first 5 games, he's under pressure. You know, and this is all it's gonna be. You know, I'm not gonna. I think there's many fans that are not gonna forget last season, so he's got it all to do for me, definitely. Danny says, I was only talking to Ethan Pinnock a month ago. What a top manager he's got, and Brentford only going to get better. Then joins Tottenham a few days later. Yeah, listen, Ethan Pinnock, man, I think he's a very good player. Obviously, Jamaican international as well. Yeah, I think he's a very good player, and you know what? I'll be surprised if Thomas Frank doesn't at least go in for one of his old players, and Pinnock might be that. I know Norgard's gone to Arsenal. Obviously, Mbeumo looking like he's going to United. I'm surprised he hasn't gone back for Visser or for Pinnock. You know, Pinnock left-sided centre-back, you know, and if you look at, obviously, Mickey van der Ven does get injuries. You know, Pinnock could obviously be, you know, not saying backup, but someone that could rotate with Van der Ven, because Van der Ven has proven to be injury prone as well. So, but yeah, no, I think he's a good defender. I've always said that. So in 2050, they'll be trusting the process, and they would have won 20 community shields for finishing second. Yeah, listen, this whole trust the process crap, man. I keep hearing a lot of these kids talk about it as well, you know. And again, Arsenal done a very good job of influencing a lot of this younger generation to trust the process and get no results at the end. You know, it's a loser's mentality. This whole trust the process. At the end of the day, and I'll keep saying it, I've never known a manager to be in place at a club for that long, spend that amount of money that he has done, and win absolutely nothing. So yeah, that's down to them, innit? You know. Oh yeah, Kevin Danso. Forgot about him, but Danso's right-footed though, so Danso can be competing with Christian Romero. Yeah, Danso's right-footed. So what? How Danny? How old is Ethan Pinnock now? Is he about what, 28, 29? Because I actually think he's a good defender, you know. But yeah, if he's about 29, 30, then it's gonna be unlikely that oh, he's 32. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's unlikely that Brentford go in for him. But I do think he's a good defender. But obviously Brentford's ideal for him. You know, he's been there for a little while. He knows how the clubs run. So yeah, man, there's no reason for him to leave really. But Thomas Frank for me is a very good manager, and I think he's gonna propel Tottenham to being respectable. You know, obviously he's gonna need a few signings as well, but yeah, I think in terms of his man management, you know, and the thing is, I've never met Thomas Frank, but you can tell he's a very good man manager. You know, he's just got something about him. So yeah, I think he'll do well there. You know, But guys, listen up. Big up yourselves for coming on. Obviously, I'm going to hit the gym now anyway. It's a late one today. But yeah, big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Big up to all the newcomers as well. And again, make sure, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. And check out my other content as well. And make sure you smash the like button. Help the channel to grow. So Gamer says, how long you hit the gym? No, only for about an hour and a half, if anything. I think an hour is what I normally do. But sometimes if I'm over an hour, it might be an hour and a half. But it's good because the gym's just around the corner from me. So it's not too much traveling. It's literally about 5 minutes around the corner. So yeah. But yeah, guys, big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Big up to all the mods. So Gamer says does 1 hour, 15 minutes sauna. So you're really going all out, man, Gamer. Yeah, listen. Unfortunately, man, I'm not as rich as you. Our gym ain't got a sauna. It's just strictly a gym, man. That's it. But as I said, man, yeah, make sure you get your gym in, guys, man. Obviously, good for your health. You know, good for your well-being as well. And again, good for your confidence. So yeah, make sure you guys get that in, man. Gamer, listen, you've been paying too much attention, man. Yeah, listen, I wish I was rich, man, but this is what I'm trying to work to now, man. So yeah, that's all we can do, man. Fingers crossed, just keep putting the work in, and hopefully I will be rich, yeah. Yeah, Sham, listen, bro. When it comes to me hitting the gym, man, I just try to keep Man United talk to a minimum. Like the other day, I had someone asking about what team you support. And you know what? I was actually stuttering. I was stuttering trying to say that my team's name. Because I was thinking, listen, man, I don't want to get into this chat because, you know, you guys are going to start grilling me about United. And I can't really say nothing because we're in absolute shambles. But, yeah, the guy asked me the other day, man, and I didn't want to say United. I've never been like that. You know, but listen, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I think Man United are one of them teams that at the moment that we have to just fingers crossed, man, as a fan, fingers crossed that, you know, the club are on its way back. But at this moment in time, it's hard to see that. But yeah, you have to just remain positive, man. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But guys, as I said, big up yourselves for coming on. Big up to all the mods. Big up to all the newcomers as well. And yeah, guys, keep an eye out on the schedule. For those of you that are new here as well, make sure you check out my playlists. You know, I've got some good playlists on there, some good content. But yeah, keep an eye on my schedule. Obviously, make sure your notifications are on as well. And as I said, yeah, I'll be back hopefully tomorrow. Probably back in the evening again. Obviously, hopefully there's some news dropping and we can react to that. But yeah, 100%, guys. Big up yourselves for coming on. And yeah, keep your comments coming through as well. And again, once the stream's ended, make some comments and let me know what you think, guys. But yeah, as I said, Jadon Sancho for me, I've got a feeling he stays. Out of all 5 of the players, Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony himself, and Malacia, if we're putting him in there, I think Sancho's the most likely one to stay. And I think if Ineos are looking to, you know, at least keep at least one big earner, you know, I hope it's him because I still think he's got a role to play at this club, regardless of what many think, you know. But yeah, as I said, guys, big up yourselves and make sure you guys enjoy the game today. But yeah, the PSG Real Madrid one, I'm definitely going to try and watch that. So yeah, big up yourselves each and every time. And I'm going to catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.